NAIA Convention Luncheon. My name is Corey Westra, Commissioner of the Great Plains Athletic Conference. It's my pleasure to be your host again today for this luncheon. Used to call it the opening luncheon, but we're actually well into convention now, moving things around a little bit. I just want to thank you for your attendance here today and this weekend in Kansas City. As you know, if you've been around the NAIA for a few years, or if you are a newcomer, this luncheon has become a very special event as a part of our festivities here at convention. We've had some outstanding speakers over the years, and today is absolutely no exception. Josh Bleill from the Indianapolis Colts is with us. When Amy called me to ask me to do this, I do what any good person does. I YouTubed it. And there's some great stuff out there, so we're going to be really in for a treat today. Down here to my right at the table, we have Sister Mary Grace Flickinger from Xavier University of Louisiana, a huge Saints fan, huge. So we have a Saints fan, we have a Colts employee. The mayor just came in, presumably a huge Chiefs fan, so if this table blows up, forget it, I'm off the hook. But we'll try to keep it all together. I'm also I'm actually a pretty big Broncos fan, and Josh and I have already talked about the Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning deal. He's cool with it. It's all good. But in all seriousness, a message of hope and inspiration today from Josh, so we look forward to that in a couple of moments. We have not been at the Marriott in a while, back here in downtown Kansas City proper, and I've heard a lot of talk around the hallways about how great the downtown area is, specifically the Power and Light District, and obviously this facility, and coming back here to the Marriott. And Mayor, you have a lot to be proud of here in Kansas City, and obviously you're just one of many hands. And if you've been watching the news over the weekend, we've had some chimps get out of the zoo, which I'm not sure that's on you. But and then we also have the big announcement that they're bidding the Republican National Convention, which is a big deal. That one's on you, right? That's good. So in all seriousness, though, with our mayor, I'd like to have Mayor Sly James come up from Kansas City to give a few words of welcome. Congratulations on what you've done here, and thank you for having us.
First of all, the chimps broke out of the zoo when they heard that there were going to be people from Indianapolis here. And for all you people who clapped when he said he was a Broncos fan, got something for you later. I want to thank you for inviting me to be here with you again this year. It's always great to hang out with our partners in the NAIA. For those of you who are returning or first-time visitors to Kansas City, welcome. Yesterday you saw a great example of mayoral-controlled weather. Today you see city manager weather. This is a convention that we actually look forward to every year, and it's safe to say that we have an affinity for this organization, the NAIA. Excuse me. I may be biased, but I think it's really hard to find a city in this country that's more inspired by sports, particularly college sports, than Kansas City. Last year, we had more college games played in this city than any place in the entire country. This year will be about the same. Sports and their tradition permeate the history of Kansas City and our culture. But sports is only one of the many reasons that we enjoy our relationship with and having the convention of the NAIA here every year. I'll get it right. The Buffalo Funds Division I basketball tournament is also a great reason to be here at the Municipal Auditorium. But don't get me wrong, we actually love hosting the tournament and having the opportunity to cheer for local heroes and teams that are competing. But most of all, we simply enjoy the fact that the NAIA is a corporate citizen, friend, and partner here in Kansas City. It's a great organization that provides once-in-a-lifetime opportunities for thousands of student athletes around this entire country. And because of your leadership and the thousands of student athletes are able to graduate from college with skills and knowledge, character and experience that will help them succeed in the world outside of athletics. So I want to thank you all for doing what you do to protect the integrity and the importance of college education in conjunction with college athletics. In my view, building a world-class city like Kansas City is more than about economic development. It's about more than tourism and physical infrastructure. It means that we're investing in people that help our city succeed, and our partnership with the NAIA embodies that sentiment. So as you continue to grow, and as you continue to invest in your schools and staff and student athletes, remember that we are here to help you in any way that we possibly can and to promote your success, because your success is actually our success as well. Now, I understand that this is one of the most important single gatherings of the NAIA every year, and I can't help but assume that you actually booked Josh before the Chiefs and the Indianapolis Colts football game. But we're going to let that slide. Josh is a good man. He didn't have time to shop for appropriate attire today, so he wore a Colts shirt in Kansas City. It's all right, Josh. We forgive you. You're a good guy. But I want to welcome you to Kansas City, and sister, welcome as well. We have no problem or quarrel with the Saints. We took your backup quarterback, Chase Daniels. He's here. He came home and is doing well, so thank you very much for that. And we wish you great luck every time you play somebody else, particularly when you play the Colts. So we love having you here. We want you to be comfortable here. We want you to enjoy the city. I hope you have up to this point. I'm sorry about the rain, but it's not a cold rain, it's a warm rain. So don't let that stop you from getting out if you have time today to see other parts of the city. I think you'll find the people of Kansas City very friendly and open to you. So enjoy this week your 73rd annual convention, and thank you once again for holding it in Kansas City. We love having you here.
Thank you, Mayor. As you can tell, I'm going to be the moderator at this table. Champions of character will be talked about in great deal as we go through dinner today. Thank you again, Mayor Sly James. The NAIA has some great corporate partners, and one of those is USA Sports Banners, and they are proud to sponsor today's luncheon. And here on behalf of USA Sports Banners is Dave Bone to give a welcome to all of you. Dave?
I need a box to stand on. Yeah, I know, I'm just kidding. Hi, I'm Dave Bone. I'm the president of USA Sports Banners, and I want to thank everybody for inviting us. I want to thank the NAIA for letting us become their official signage partner. I'd ask that you guys take a look at the website. You'll find us on there. We've got some really good prices for everybody, and signs, banners, just about anything to decorate your colleges. And I want to thank Josh for his service. I thanked him earlier. I think we should thank all the vets, as I am one as well. We got any vets in the room? Thanks. That's it. Thank you very much, and welcome to the lunch, and I'll give it back to him. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to ask Sister Grace Mary Flickinger of Xavier University to come to the mic. She's going to give us our invocation this morning. Sister Grace Mary has over 30 years of experience in the NAIA as an FAR. She's a dear friend to many of us. We always enjoy seeing her around convention. It's always a good story or two or maybe three, and she's just been a great friend throughout the years. So, Sister, if you would please lead us in invocation, and I promised I would lower the mic for her, so here we go.
Thank you. Before we pray, I do have to say, despite the mayor, who dat say they're going to beat them Saints? Who dat? And tomorrow I will wear my Saints shirt. Okay, now to get serious, let us bow our heads in prayer. Loving God and Father, we ask that you be present with us as we join in fellowship today. Let us remember the words of St. Paul, who reminds us that every athlete exercises discipline to win a perishable crown. May each of us win an imperishable one. We ask God to bless the time we have together, the fellowship we share. May it be a time to remind each of us of God's loving care for us. We ask you to bless the food we are about to share, the fellowship we share. We ask that you bless those who have prepared it and those who serve it. We pray all this in Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, sister. Our lunch will be served at this time. I would just like to publicly thank the staff here at the Marriott. They have been outstanding. So how about a big hand for the staff? And if we could, too, just before we have lunch, so we're ready to go after lunch, if we could silence our cell phones or at least put them on vibrate, we would greatly appreciate that as we get ready for our keynote after our lunch here today. So enjoy your lunch.
And JD just couldn't quit talking about the impact that Josh had on his coaches and his conference and other folks who had the chance to hear Josh. And so we immediately reached out, and fortunately Josh was available during our convention. To give you a little information on Josh, he's originally from Greenfield, Indiana, and attended Purdue University. I just learned that he played lacrosse there. Upon completion of his education, he decided to serve his country and join the Marines, and was activated for a tour of duty in Iraq in 2006. While serving in Iraq, Josh was severely injured, resulting in the loss of both of his legs. And after extensive rehabilitation, he returned to Indiana in August of 2008, where he attacked his new life head-on. This new life included employment with the Indianapolis Colts, where he serves as a community spokesperson for them. I want to read how Jim Irsay, who's the Indianapolis Colts owner, describes Josh. He says, Bleill is a very talented, bright-eyed, and skilled person. And he takes it one step at a time and travels the country to spread his message of hope. So please join me in welcoming Josh to the stage. We're so fortunate to have him here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. It's such an honor to be here. And I'm going to address real fast this table right over here. Sister, you wanting to cheer for Saints, completely understandable. Makes sense. Mayor, I understand that the monkeys did escape, but they are excited that they may have a chance to see a real football team. Trust me, though, we'll be back. We'll be back. So, but no, the mayor, you know, he is a Marine. He is a fellow brother. So I thank him for everything. But Kansas City, what a beautiful city and all that you've done, and the team as well. So we're honored to be here. To the NAIA, thank you for having me. Just the importance of what you do for student athletes and that pathway for growth. What you instill in them, the things that they learn, is why I'm here today, is why I've gotten where I am in life, because of being part of a team. I grew up in Indiana, just on the east side of Indianapolis. My father was a school teacher, but he also coached basketball at the high school level for 36 years. So I saw that drivenness. I saw what it takes to be a part of a team. But I grew up in that world. My mom worked for the Red Cross, then for our local hospital. I had two older sisters. I was the baby boy. I'm still the baby boy. 37 years old, still the baby boy and love it. I was home 2 weeks ago. My mother criticized me for wearing shorts in this kind of weather. I love my mother. She does not see any of this. I'm still her little baby boy. But growing up, being part of a sports, I saw my dad coach. I saw the players, the athletes. But I also saw what it took to become part of that world and all the commissioners and the directors. You're involved in children's, young men and women's lives. And the change that I saw my father and the impact that I saw him have as just a coach was amazing to these young men as he coached basketball. And I wanted to be a part of that. So I started early off playing sports, and I tried everything from baseball to basketball. I ran cross country, track. But my big thing was basketball. As Indiana kids, most of us grew up doing that. We work in the cornfields, and when we get done working in the cornfields, we go to the courts. That's all we want to do. But I played basketball in high school. But in college, I actually got a lot bigger. I ended up going to Purdue University, hit my growth spurt, and I actually played lacrosse all 4 years there. Maybe 4.5, 5 years there. It took me a while, but being part of those teams growing up, being part of and giving back, learn how to work with other young kids at a young age. Learn what it meant to win, but also what it meant to lose, and how hard you had to work and continue to do that. You learn so much by being a student athlete. The world that you're involved with gives more, obviously, than being a part of a team. It gives an education as well, and how important that is in life. But it also teaches the characters of champions. What makes you get farther in this life is what you're involved with daily. But after school, I got a job in corporate America. I worked at an insurance business as a corporate recruiter at age 22, and I enjoyed that job. But I realized being in corporate America, having a job affects a lot more than you. Obviously, it affects the people that you work with, your coworkers. It was affecting the people I hired. It was affecting the people I didn't hire. What you do in your world affects the same. Your coworkers, your employees, but obviously the student athletes, the people that get scholarships, that get a chance at that education. People who are involved on those teams, from the coaches, but also the people that don't get those. The people that we have to explain and show your character in the NAIA. And all that you do, and just stand for what you believe in, and who you are and why you're successful. But on typical days driving to work, I got stuck in traffic, as most of us do. And I would call friends and catch up on their lives. A particular morning, I was talking to my friend Annie. She had been up early watching the news, and she had seen the 2 towers get hit. So I quickly got to work and watched those horrific events of 9/11 take place. And obviously it changed this country. It changed all of us, but something inside of me clicked. I knew being a big kid, being an athlete, having that drive and all those things I had learned, being part of a team, giving back, was instilled in me. And I knew that I was big enough to play in the military, to become part of that, to give back to my country. Mentally, I believed in it. My father was an F-4 pilot in the Marine Corps. My grandfather served in Northern Africa in World War II. So in 2003, I made the decision, after a lot of prayers, a lot of deliberation, that I would join the United States Marine Corps. In 2004, at the age of 27, they sent me to boot camp. And I quickly realized that 27 was not young to join the Marine Corps. I was surrounded by those 17 and 18-year-old athletes and realized, you know what, these guys, I thought at a young age, I wouldn't be able to work with them. I didn't think I'd connect with them. You know, I just thought at 27 I knew a lot more. I'd been around. I thought there's no way. But I quickly realized it was bringing back that team aspect. That these are the guys I had to learn to work with, to win with, to become one with. These guys were going to be responsible for my life. And I was going to be responsible for theirs. But I also learned at 17 and 18-year-olds, a lot of the ages of your student athletes, that these guys had made a commitment to this country at a young age. And I had to honor and respect that. But also the commitment that athletes take these days. I have younger nieces and nephews that I see how much sports is involved, how much to get to the collegiate level it takes. The people that you deal with, they've had a lot of dedication. They've worked on their sports their whole life. So to honor and respect that is to do your job the best you can for them. I did 13 weeks of Marine Corps boot camp, 13 weeks of misery, day in and day out, being pushed by drill instructors constantly in our face. And these guys had reminded me of my coaches that were pushing me. And I thought these guys obviously were just being mean at the time, but 13 weeks they were training me. They were preparing me for where I was about to go. And after 13 weeks I graduated. I became a Marine, and I was proud of that, to follow in the footsteps of my father, but also the traditions of this country. If so many men and women have risked their lives, some given limbs, the families back home that battle, to allow us to enjoy our freedoms on a daily basis. But I also knew I wanted to be sent. I wanted to be on the front lines, so I joined the infantry. I did 9 more weeks of infantry rifleman school. Then I went back to my job at Conseco. I was a reservist. I went to my training once a month, 2 weeks in the summer, out of Terre Haute, Indiana. I did that for about a year and a half. And then January of 2006, I got the phone call from my sergeant telling me I'd been activated to go to war. Something I trained for, prepared for, gotten ready for, excited for, still scared. Still made me very nervous. But I knew it was the right thing to do. And we prepared, just like practices. Just like going back to training, just like coming here to a conference, you get ready for things, prepare for their next season. So we train in California. We go back out there in the Mojave Desert, train for 6 months, train what we're about to see in mock cities. But we also train with 150 Iraqi citizens. We know there's another culture, another language. We want to be respectful of the innocent lives being over there. But just like in politics, just like in anything we do, just like in war, you get a lot farther with making friends, having common goals, doing the right thing, helping other people. And in September of 2006, I was sent to the city of Fallujah, Iraq. 06, Fallujah was a bad spot. A lot of terrorist activity, a lot of sniper attacks, and a lot of the roadside bombs. Marines go into a city usually for one reason. We're going after specific targets. We have guys we're looking for. Now, coming from, a military family, but I never imagined going into the military. Obviously, I trained, but being in the city of Fallujah, there was 350,000 citizens at that time. A lot had fled to other countries, but there was 150 of us Marines that lived amongst those people. And 150 of my teammates that were there with me, that I had to depend on, to trust on. These guys, everything I learned about being part of a team, working hard, having common goals, but trying to get out there and watching the guy to your left and your right was the most important. And we were going after guys at 3 in the morning, kicking open doors, looking for the weapons. Usually on the other side of doors at 3 in the morning, we found families, scared families, kids. And I felt bad about that. It was always hard to do, but I knew we were doing the right thing, giving them a better chance at life. Because every day I watched the Iraqi people wake up. They opened up their shops, they went to work, they drove on the highways, the kids went out and played, but there was gunfire and explosions every single day. Every single day, innocent lives were being lost. And it's hard to see that. It's sad to watch that. But I knew we were helping them out. But on October 15th of 2006, I was in a Humvee. We were traveling up and down the roads of Fallujah. We were looking for specific targets. We were pulling guys over, arresting them, sending them off, reloading, doing it over and over again. After a particular stop, I got my guys back up into our truck. We took off flying down that dirt road in Fallujah. Quickly got called after another vehicle headed the opposite direction. So we did a quick U-turn over the median. When we ran over the median, that's when they set the bomb off. My world went black. I was instantly knocked out. Those 17 and 18-year-olds, my fellow teammates, my fellow Marines, they had the courage to go into that fire. Got me out, tourniqueted my legs, and it saved my life. I owe my life to those young men. I woke up 5 days later. I'd been in a coma. I woke up in Landstuhl, Germany, a whole other country. No idea of what happened to me. Obviously, I knew something wrong had happened because I laid in a hospital bed. I had a jaw wire trach in my throat, cast on both my wrists. The one thing I could remember from that day was that there were other Marines in the vehicle. Like I said, my fellow brothers were with me, and I could not find them in that hospital room. They had to explain the hardest part of the whole ordeal. I lost 2 of my teammates. My Sergeant Brock was killed directly in front of me. One of my best friends and roommate, Lance Corpral Hines, was killed next to me. My gunner was thrown from the incident. He lost his right leg, but he's doing well. My driver miraculously was untouched. He didn't have a scratch on him. He finished his tour. Then they had to explain the extent of my injuries. They had to explain all this. I knew it was bad laying in a hospital bed. It'd take me a long time to comprehend it. They told me I'd lost both of my legs above the knee. I have 27 pins in my hip, a 6-inch screw in my pelvis. I broke my nose, my jaw, both my wrists, 4 fingers. They classified me with post-traumatic stress disorder, severe traumatic brain injury. And my father always tells people, my brain was like this before. They weren't real concerned looking back at it. But I was hurt. I was scared. And I was angry. I was angry at life. I didn't think life had been fair. I didn't understand it. I was trying to do something good, give back. I understand why I'd lost my friends, why my life was different. Why the athlete that I'd worked so hard to become my whole life was gone. It was taken away. And I bottled up that anger, and I was sent back to the United States to start my recovery process at Bethesda Naval Hospital. Great doctors, great care, but really, truly, the thing that helped me the most was the support that I received from this country. From letters to prayers to people just encouraging me. But I was now 29 years old. I knew I was different. For the first time in my life, that big athlete was scared to look into that mirror. I'd been 6'2", 220 in college. Big tough Marine, a big tough lacrosse player. Like I said, it was taken away. I'd withered down to 115 pounds. Sat in a wheelchair for the first time in my life, and I refused to go into public. I didn't want to deal with that. I didn't want to look weak. Emotionally, I couldn't handle the stares. So I hid. I hid from the world. And there's great organizations that support us, that send us on all kinds of trips because they know, being Marines, being soldiers, that we're athletes. They know that just is at our heart who we are. They want us out there competing again. They offer snowboarding trips, scuba diving, horseback riding, anything we want to do to be competitive again, they offer it to us. It becomes available because of this country. But I became very notorious for saying no. I didn't want to leave. But day after day, my sergeant never gave up. And one day he approached me. He said, "Bleill, I have another opportunity for you, but I don't think you'll pass this up." I said, "Out of respect, Sergeant, you know me. I will always listen," but I've continuously said no. He said, "Bleill, how would you like to go see the Indianapolis Colts play the Chicago Bears in the Super Bowl?" He knew he had me. He knew where I was from. I wore Colts gear all the time. I'm a big football fan, big athlete. I wanted to do this. I couldn't pass it up. It's the first time I left the hospital. So when I say athletics is such a big part of my life and gets me where I am today, it's true. Because athletics, a football game, got me out of that hospital. We went down to Miami. We sat at the Pouring Rain and loved it. Indianapolis was very blessed to bring home a championship that year, and it was fun. It was exciting, and being back under, watching games again was just inspirational to me. But it was a lot bigger than a football game. Because for the first time, I was in front of tens of thousands of people. As skinny as could be, without legs in a wheelchair, but for the first time, I didn't care. Because all that came back to me, what I had learned from my coaches, to stand up for what I believe, to work hard, to get what I want out of life. My parents had taught me not to be angry. The Marine Corps teaches us one thing, how to survive. But also watch a great organization, two great organizations, do well. And I thought, you can do the right thing in this world. You can be a good organization and still be successful in the athletic world. I was then transferred to Walter Reed Medical Hospital in Washington, D.C. But I was there to learn to walk. I spent 6 months in that wheelchair because of my pelvic injuries. I couldn't try to walk for 6 months. But I tell you what, when I was there, I was realizing, to get back to my legs, I had to become an athlete again. I had to have that mentality. Each day I started to go to work out. It was like having 2-a-day practices. I'd go work out. I'd get my body physically ready to do it again. To learn how to walk, you have to have a strong core. You have to get ready physically. And I remember that first day I got my legs. I was so excited. My family was there. My friends were there. I sat in a wheelchair just in anticipation, waiting for them to bring out the prosthetics. But when they brought out these legs, they weren't actually the legs I currently wear. They weren't the legs I saw the other men and women training in. They brought out the two shortest littlest legs you've ever seen in your life. It made me like 4 feet tall. But I said, that's all right. I'm an athlete. I can do this. I will work hard. I will get my life back. I knew physically and mentally to get to my life back, I literally had to take that first step. As I stood there, I had never doubted myself. I'd seen other men, other women learn to walk, but I realized that my body was still pretty weak. I had no idea how to walk in prosthetic legs. And I allowed the anger to creep back in. I sat down, I took my legs off, and I rushed out of that hospital to hide from this world once again. When I got back to my room, I found the letters, the packages I had just refused to open, the support that I had been given from so many people just encouraging me to keep going. But I also realized, we have losses in our life. Being an athlete, sometimes we lost. And you have that pit in your stomach, or sometimes you feel like you just have to give up. But what you truly have to do is get back out there, practice harder. I knew that's what I had to do. So I went back the next day and I stood there again. And the next day and the next day. And it took me 5 whole days of just standing there before I took one step. But that step was in the right direction. Because it was on that pathway for growth. It was to get back out there. It was to get my life back. And each day was a new challenge. Learn how to walk upstairs, different surfaces. But I had to learn to fall and stand back up. And to show that fighter inside of me. To show people around me that I was not going to give in. I was not going to give in to bad things, to failures. I was going to get my life back. And I got to meet a lot of neat people. Politicians, celebrities. Everybody stopped by Walter Reed. But obviously the one that changed my world was Indianapolis Colts. After they won the Super Bowl, they actually stopped by to meet President Bush in D.C. at the time, and then stopped by Walter Reed to say thank you to the men and women who had served. So I got to meet Peyton Manning and Joseph Adai and Dallas Clark. As I say those names, I'm like, gone, gone. That's who played on our team then. Now we have new wonderful players. But at that time, just wonderful men, these athletes, these guys who had worked so hard, the people that are the step before that is who you deal with. And this character of these men was unbelievable. Just winning the Super Bowl, but just cared about the people around them, cared about us, and sat down and just talked. And I sat down with Joseph Adai, our running back for a real long time, great individual. He could relate to what I was going through. His best friend's paralyzed from a football incident when they were kids. So Joe understood some of the physical and mental dilemmas I was facing. But I'm a big athlete, like I said, I'm a big football fan. I wanted to ask Joseph football questions. So I asked him a bunch. He entertained them all. But one question I asked Joseph, I said, Joseph, you scored the winning touchdown against New England to get you guys into the Super Bowl. So what was going through your mind at that point in time? Joe is a very quiet and humble guy. He looks up at me and says, I was thinking, man, I'm tired. And now we got to play another game. That's not the response I wanted. I was like, Joseph, that next game, that another game is the Super Bowl. I was thinking maybe it's the greatest moment of my life. I'm glad my family's here to see it. No, Joe's just tired. He's worn out. Rightfully so. Athletics is hard. What you deal with is athletes that work hard, but also you work hard. Being directors, being commissioners, being involved in this world is difficult, it's stressful, dealing with legislation, all the different changes. But what it does, the harder you work, the more you re-energize yourself at conferences like this, how you collaborate, how you work as a team in this room, brings home championships, brings home champions. Makes you better colleges, better universities, but the end makes better opportunities for those student athletes, better educations, better chances at a winning team. Then I met the owner of the Colts, Mr. Jim Irsay. And I know he's been in the news, and not for a positive thing. My prayers are with him and his family, but at that time, he'd given me a huge opportunity, and I will stand behind him and his family. But at that time, Mr. Irsay and I had gone to the same gym a long time ago, so he knew I was there, and he found me. He said, Josh, I'll make you 2 promises. 1, whenever you want to fly back to Indianapolis, I will fly you home. And 2, when you get there, you come see me about a job. Going on 6 years at the Indianapolis Colts, and it's been a blessing to work there and all that they've done for me. But I'd spent 10 months in the hospital. I'd overcome the hardest thing I'd ever done. I'd learned to walk again. I was getting better, stronger. But I hadn't come home yet. I hadn't gone home to Indianapolis because I made a goal for myself. Just like back in, being an athlete, you have to set goals, opportunities, what you want to reach. One of my goals was I would not go home until I could physically walk myself off that plane. I was there, each day getting better. So I scheduled a flight to go back to Indianapolis. As soon as I did that, I had issues. I had problems. I just had pain in my leg. I'd take a couple steps, and it just hurt too bad to walk. I'd take a couple more, I just couldn't bear it. So I'd sit down and rest. Finally, a week of just being stubborn, I went to the doctors. They did tests, x-rays, scans, and they came out. They said, Josh, unfortunately, we found 2 infections in your legs. We're going to have to amputate again. 10 months of blood, sweat, and tears, fighting through the anger, and they told me I was going to start over. But I looked around me, I was surrounded by my fellow teammates that were hurt, had lost their limbs, had lost friends. I said I have an opportunity to stand up, to show my teammates that together we can get through this. That even through the darkest of days, it's all right. I can put a smile on my face, and together, tomorrow's a better day, a brighter day. I went through that surgery, had my legs re-amputated, back in a wheelchair for 3 more months. Then I learned to walk again for the 3rd time in my life. I ended up spending 22 months in that hospital, 2 years of my life recovering. 3 times longer than deployment would have been. After 22 months, I went home to Indiana, born and raised. Like I said, athletics got me back in this world. The Indianapolis Colts called me in for an interview, and I was excited. Interviewed with Pete Ward, our CEO, and Tom Zupanzik, he was our Senior Vice President of Marketing until he retired this past year. They said, Josh, we like you, your work ethic, everything you stand for. We want to honor that promise Jim made you and hire you. I quit listening after that. I didn't really care. I was going to get a job. I was going to work in the athletic world. I couldn't wait. I was going to work for the NFL. I wanted to get to my car. I wanted to call everybody I knew and tell them what I was going to do. And then I thought, they haven't told me what I was going to do yet. They said, Josh, we want you to do public speaking. And I blurted out, I hate public speaking. I did not want to do this. But I said, you know what, this is what you're offering. This is what I got to work with. I got to step outside my comfort zone. Sometimes you got to think outside the box. You got to try new things. I said, I'll do it. And Tom was a great mentor to me. But my wife is a 3rd grade school teacher, so I got a brilliant idea. I said, honey, let me first practice speaking in front of these 3rd graders. They are very critical at that age in their life. But I enjoyed it. I went to other schools, other corporations. I was very blessed that it took off. I speak across this country 200 times a year. It's not about me telling my story by any means. It's telling the millions of men and women that have sacrificed their lives, families that battle back home, to give us these opportunities. It's also talking about life. We all have bombs that go off, things we don't see coming, that change our worlds forever. Sometimes when I go to schools, I run into kids that have gone through a lot worse things at an early age than I have. Some of the student athletes have gone through rough times. This athletic, to get them out of situations, that has become their dedication, their lives, to get away from that bomb, to continue to get that education, to get back their lives for their family, for them. What you deal with is not only just athletes. It's people who all have stories, who all have a life, and what you're doing is affecting them. But showing who you are and staying in that character and showing them how you get through life, how you face those bombs, how you do it, and doing it together in this room makes all the difference in this world. And I love what I do. I have a fabulous wife. I have a 3.5-year-old daughter, and I have a 1.5-year-old son. Things are good. What I do now, though, reminds me of a job I did in college. Something I never told the Marine Corps that I did. I was in restaurant hotel management, so I wanted to work at good restaurants, good hotels, so I did an internship. But I did an internship at Walt Disney World. You don't tell the Marine Corps you work at Walt Disney World. I went down there and I didn't end up working at the hotels. I didn't end up working at the restaurants. I drove Kilimanjaro safaris in Animal Kingdom for 6 months of my life. And I don't know who's been on this silly ride, but we say this whole spiel. We talk about the animals and everything else. We talk about all the different things. That whole spiel is stuck in my head. Can't get it out. So I apologize for what's about to happen. Caribou, everyone, welcome aboard. Slide on over and make yourselves comfortable. My name is Josh, your wildlife driver here in Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Jambo means hello here in Swahili, so Jambo, everyone. Jambo. That's stupid. I get that. I understand that. I tell you that story. I did that job 15 years ago for 6 months of my life, and I still know the whole thing. So there's no doubt in my mind, the experience in this room, you know your job. Frontwards, backwards, left and right. But what they taught me back then is whoever gets on my ride that day, it's not about me anymore. Because it's about them. Because even if I've done that spiel 100 times that day, I'm going to know it 15 years later. It's doing my best because it's their first experience. It's the same here. It's about doing your best because even though you've done things over and over again for millions of athletes, that one athlete, each is special. It's their first time coming through this. Maybe their first time in their family that's gone to college. First time that's getting this education, competing, has worked their butt off their whole life to get where they are. There's no other way you can pay that respect back than doing your best, by giving 100%, by finding the ways to make your schools better, the universities, the league better, to help these young men and women that have given so much to get where they are, and to honor them by doing that. Like I said, I love what I do for a living. I love my job, but it's about seeing the good. It's about just enjoying the things. Looking back on that day, October 15th, 2006 was my worst day by far. I lost 2 of my best friends, and I also lost both of my legs. But what brought me back was being an athlete, seeing that I could still compete, I could still do things, I could go after life, and enjoy the things I learned about teamwork, working hard, having failures in your life, sometimes suffering those game losses, but also celebrating the wins. And I tell you what, the experiences I get. I actually was at a fundraiser a couple months ago with Deem, a corporation that sponsors me, and they were raising money for hospitals, but that night I was in a small little room, and there's a little stage of about the 10th of this size. And I was sitting in the front row with my wife, and up on stage, out of my surprise, I look out of the shadows, walks up Garth Brooks. I'm like, are you serious? I grew up country. I'm a big country man. I'm nudging my wife. She's like, stop, girl. He gets up there and starts singing. You know that voice, just amazing. Sings, tells his stories. About 30 minutes of this, he says, I want to bring up somebody else. He's like, Trisha Yearwood, come up on stage. I'm like, where am I? This is nuts. This is awesome. And I got to meet them later that night, and they were fabulous, fabulous people. But then this little 9-year-old girl walked up to me, 9-year-old Roxy. 9-year-old Roxy had a trach in her throat. Hard to understand, had problems with her jaw, but her mother walked up, and Roxy had noticed my legs. And Roxy told me that night that my legs helped me walk, like that trach helps her talk. And then that little girl gave me the biggest hug I've ever gotten, just melted me. I had 2 great experiences that night, but the second one with Roxy was much more meaningful. Nothing away from Trisha or Garth. But Roxy taught me that life is beautiful, that she didn't see my legs or her trach as a problem. She saw it as a solution. Sometimes problems can be solutions. It's about how we look at things. It's about looking around this room and seeing competition or seeing people that understand where you are. Seeing people that, you know what, together you can make it better for that end result. That end result are those young lives that you're affecting on a daily basis, doing the best that you can to help these young men and women, these student athletes. Like I said, I travel the country, and I enjoy it. And I have a sense of humor, and I joke around with people. Flying home next to a nervous flyer who happened to lean over to me and ask me, son, was that a war injury? And I looked up and I said, no, it was a plane crash. He did not think it was funny as I did. I quickly corrected that statement. I said, sir, I don't know why that came out. I apologize. And we ended up talking all the way home. He's a very good guy. He slowly calmed down and comforted. But he told me about his family. He told me about his children, his grandchildren. I told him about my family and my children. We just connected. You know, when you meet people, you usually talk about your families, sons, daughters, what they've been doing. People you deal with are sons and daughters, family members. And doing your best is treating them just like family. I feel like part of a family here because I grew up in this world of athletics, watching my dad affect a lot of kids. And it's not about just what you do on that court. It's about that character you're building inside of those champions, that character that you are displaying, that platform that I realized that people were going to notice me, people were going to stare, and I had to show them that fighter, I had to show them that athlete, I had to show them the character of who I was, that man of faith that could do anything in this world because there was a plan. You have that same opportunity, that same platform, not only to help these young men and women, but to show them by what you do in your actions, to show them where hard work takes them, that you will respect their hard work in this world and everything that you do. I thank you for what you do because it's making a difference in so many young men and women's lives. Continue that spirit. Continue to enjoy that. And I do wish you the best. But before I go, I'd like to bring the mayor back up on stage. No, we're not going to get in a fight or anything like that. But just to honor him for his city and having NAIA here and all that he's done. And I just appreciate the mayor and your service to this country as well. So.
No, my pleasure. You graduate San You know, there's a great affinity here, despite the fact that he's got the wrong colors on. Being a Marine is a special thing in my life, as I know it is in his. My father was a Marine. My son's a Marine. I'm a Marine. He's a Marine. He graduated on the same drill field in San Diego that my father did, that I did, my son did, where Drew Brees from the Saints spent a half hour talking to my son after his graduation. There's an affinity in the Marine Corps for other Marines, and there's a tradition. We honor those people who do extraordinary things in life, and in the Corps, we honor those people who do extraordinary things, and we do that with the challenge coins, right?
Absolutely.
Here's mine. I will tell you that there's another brilliant African-American leader. There are two of us. That has this challenge coin, and I have his. I'm very honored to give it to you, primarily because I can't wait for you to forget to have it on the next time we meet, and you get to buy all the drinks, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
I just want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for your service. I have a sense of what you went through. My son was in Iraq as well at a bad time. So you're always welcome in my hometown, and next time you come, we're going to take you out and get you some barbecue.
Perfect.
Get you served up real well.
Sounds good to me, Mayor. Thank you.
Brother.
God bless.
Thank
brother.
you very much.
Well, if I were smart, I would just sit down and not try to follow any of this. But I do have, I think somebody liked that idea. I did want to do one thing, though. The mayor has been talking about his blue shirt and the Colts, so we do have a red shirt. It doesn't say Chiefs on it, but we wanted to give Josh an NAIA token to take away from here. We can't thank you enough for being here with us today. You know, over the course of this convention, we've been talking about our issues and our challenges, and I don't know about all of you, but I'm sitting over there going, you know, there's just nothing in my life that can compare to what Josh has gone through. He served our country so that we can all enjoy our freedom. As he said, many more men and women in there with him and behind him and in front of him who have done the same thing. So we just can't thank you enough, Josh, for being here today, but for everything you've done for our country and for all of us. And so on behalf of the NAIA, thank you. We're humbled to be in your presence, and we just greatly appreciate it.
I'll wear it with pride.
Well, I do have one other quick piece of business. Also just tough in general to follow that act, but I do have someone who's very special to me and special to so many of us here in the NAIA that I did want to honor publicly. I think she's been honored some throughout the convention in different areas, but as you all know, Lori Thomas is moving on to a new great opportunity with the Heart of America as their new commissioner. She'll still be in the NAIA family, So we're certainly excited about that. But Lori has been my sidekick essentially for the last 16 years. We started at the NAIA at about the same time. Been through a lot of good times, a few bad times, but she's like a sister to me, and so I'm going to definitely miss having her in our office every day. She's been a great leader for this organization. Will continue to be a leader, just as she puts it, on the other side of the table. So I'm very excited for her, but also very sad that I won't be working with her on a daily basis. So, Lori, we have a small gift for you if you'd come up and accept that. Lori, essentially, as you all know, is the glue that holds us all together at the national office, and I guess we'll have to go down the road to continue to get her to bring that glue to the national office. But I just can't say enough things about Lori, and we wish her well in her new endeavor. She's going to be with us through June, so we're going to work her really hard over the next few weeks. But anyway. We made a pact that we wouldn't cry when we did these things, and she hasn't lived up to the pact yet. But thank you, Lori. All right, Lori, all yours.
I think we said it last year, but wow, what another great day. What a great day. Before I ask Sister to come up and close us tonight, or this afternoon, I guess, I just want to remind you of a couple of items. Number one, that our next session is at 1:45 next door, and it continues along with that Pathways for Growth. What does that look like? And we look forward to that session coming up at 1:45. We've been also asked to remind you that coming up tonight, there's an off-site reception at 3 Points Event Space, sponsored by Summit America and Mutual of Omaha. Starts at 6 o'clock. There will be transportation available from the hotel down in the lobby. That's at 6 o'clock tonight, and you're all very much welcome to attend that as attendees of the convention. So just those two announcements before we close this wonderful time together. Sister, will you please come lead us?
I'm average size. He's above average. I am not short. I made up my mind to that years ago. Okay, let us pause now to thank God for our blessings. Lord, as we begin to thank you for the food and the fellowship we share, let us also remember to thank you for the great freedoms we as Americans have, thanks to people like Josh. May we continue to be grateful for all the blessings God has given us. May the nourishment of our bodies and of our spirits, thanks to Josh, enable us to plan wisely for the young people with whom we have the privilege of working. We ask that you go with us as we leave this banquet. May all the decisions we make be to your honor and glory and for the good of the young men and women we serve. We ask your special blessing to continue on the staff of the NAIA, on those who prepared the food, those who served the food. We ask all this in the name of Jesus, your loving Son. Amen.
I want to thank you for your attendance. Again, I want to thank staff for a great luncheon. Let's give them a big hand. As you heard a moment ago, Josh came to us through word of mouth, through JD. Thank you, JD, for your recommendation. If you know someone who you think could benefit us, let Amy know. That's how we find these people, right, Amy? So let Amy know. We've all seen somebody, heard somebody along the way, and then we all get to benefit from it. So great job again. Thank you for your attendance. You're dismissed into the next session.